I don't.
That was my.
Childhood is some of the happiest memories people make in their life. But OCD is causing children to not have this happiness. So one by one, the children are losing the happiest memories of their lives until most of them won't have any. So the challenge, what changes can the school system make to help these children who are facing social and academic challenges in America with OCD? I'm Maxine Duart. This is Aiden Silva, Brittany Soares, and Yusuf. And here.
Yusuf.
To present some background info on OCD.
When talking about OCD, there are some things that everybody should know about it. OCD is characterized by obsessions and compulsions. Common obsessions include obsession with numbers, where kids believe that some numbers are safe and others are evil. There is also fear of contamination, where kids are afraid of anything dirty or unclean and fear if that they're dirty or unclean, something bad will happen to them. A corresponding compulsion with fear of contamination is washing and cleaning rituals, where kids will excessively wash their hands or their surroundings to make sure that they're not dirty. There's also obsession with perfectionism, where kids have to keep their desks, surroundings very neat and symmetric and organized, or else they fear something negative will happen to them.
And here's Yusuf to present the weaker solutions that could have helped these children.
Many people believe that pharmacological treatments, like medications or other drugs, should be prescribed by doctors and professionals in order to accommodate for the social and academic challenges faced inside schools, and that schools can utilize these drugs in order to treat the students with these symptoms. However, others believe that parents and families should be involved with the schools, that they can make a better surrounding for the children at school, and they can help them at home to make them feel more comfortable with their OCD compulsions and rituals that they complete.
And now here's Brittany to talk about our best solution that we have found to help these children.
School staff needs to be able to make school a more comfortable and safer environment for students who have OCD. This could be done by having school psychologists who can help find treatments for OCD students, having teachers helping by accommodating for the struggles that OCD students have, and also by educating teachers on what OCD is and its symptoms so that they can identify it in their students.
And now Aiden will come up and present the symptoms of OCD and how school guidance counselors and psychologists can help these children.
So, just like any other mental disorder, there is of course symptoms. Aside from the obvious obsessions and compulsions, kids with OCD will also typically have higher aggression and anxiety rates, which can lead to a worse social life and in turn possibly higher suicide and depression rates. Kids with OCD will also have worse event-based perspective memory, or memory of events coming up later in that day, like assignments or important tests. If they cannot remember this, then they will obviously do worse academically. But schools can help. Some schools have psychologists, and a majority of schools have guidance counselors who should have knowledge on OCD and can diagnose it using interviews and rating scales such as the Yale-Brown Obsessive Compulsive Scale, or by looking at them, evaluating them in their daily procedures, such as in the classroom.
And now Brittany will come and talk about the social challenges that kids make with finding friends and how teachers can help by assigning group projects.
Many students with OCD struggle with finding friends, and this is because many of their peers believe that their rituals and compulsions make them very unapproachable. This is shown by Margaret Jaffer and her colleagues when they state that 50% of students with OCD struggle with being social in a school environment and tend to have social withdrawal from normal activities. Another problem that many OCD students face are that many of them are bullied. This is because many of their classmates feel that their obsessions and compulsions are very weird and not normal. This is stated by Melissa Laninger when she states that OCD students are bullied because of their compulsive behavior, and they try to hide it, which then increases their social isolation. But on the bright side, there are ways to fix these problems that OCD students face, and one way is by a teacher accommodation. Teachers can accommodate for students who have OCD by including group projects into their lesson plans. This is introduced by Susan Black when she communicates that teachers can assign group projects to help students with OCD make safe friends who can help them when they're struggling. All in all, group projects will help OCD students become more social and force them to be more social, and it will be a safer, easier way for them to make friends since it has to do with schoolwork. Also, it will force their classmates to get to know these OCD students when they wouldn't otherwise.
And now, I will talk about, is it right for these children to suffer, and how teachers can help them through the pain that they're going through. So kids suffer when they have OCD from different cognitive and behavioral difficulties where their thinking can be all off, or it can be too fast, or they just can't think. And their behavior will be out of control because they have to keep doing these compulsions and obsessions. They also have worsened symptoms when they grow up. These symptoms will only keep worsening until the kid is just miserable. And they also have a higher academic failure where, because of these compulsions, they can't complete their work, or because the task is time restraining, or they need a lot of movement. These kids can't do it, making them suffer, which is not okay for these children to go through. No one should go through the pain. So teachers can help correct the suffering and make it right for these students to get a fair education by incorporating mindfulness into their class, because mindfulness can help slow down the thinking and can be very peaceful to every student, not just kids with OCD. They can help identify by learning the main symptoms of OCD. They can also get involved with the students' coping treatments and therapies, so when they are experiencing these symptoms and compulsions in the classroom, the teacher can make sure that everything is being done to make sure they're not suffering. And here's Yusuf to talk about the weaker solutions that couldn't help.
Regarding the use of pharmacological treatments by schools in order to treat OCD, many have said it's a quick and efficient way to cure the problem because all the students have to do is simply take a medication. Researchers like Eric Stork have shown that pharmacological treatment has been used and increased the effects and how good the student is doing after their OCD symptoms. However, I'm here to tell you the overall well-being of the child is not, in fact, increased. This is because medications have been proven to increase symptoms like nausea, insomnia, and sleepiness. This is because of all the medication side effects. This will harm the student, and it will leave them with no point in order to treat their OCD symptoms. Also, pharmacological treatment have been shown to be more expensive than many of the common ways to treat OCD, like cognitive behavioral therapy. Overall, you're paying more money for something that gives you more disastrous effects. Others have shown that parents can help a student and can work with schools in order to create a more caring and lovable environment. This will make the child feel more stress-free and feel safe about their compulsions and not ridiculed by other people. However, most people don't look at the downside of this. If children keep acting like they're safe from these compulsions and parents succumb to their child's fears, then they'll feel like it's okay and they'll continue with this. This will only make the child's treatments postponed, because the child will feel like they do not need the treatments after their compulsions have been seen as an okay thing to do in the public's eye.
And here's Brittany to talk about the good and bad and how the limitations of this are best solution.
Even though this is a great solution to our problem, there are of course a few limitations to it. One is that teachers or other school personnel may feel that they need extra financial compensation for their extra involvement in these students with OCD, because they feel that their extra training that they're doing would be extra work. Also, many students and parents may resist the help that the schools are offering because they believe that that they either have nothing wrong with them or they can fix the problems themselves. Finally, many of the other students may get jealous of the OCD students because they are jealous of the extra attention that they're getting from the teachers. But there are ways to keep these from occurring, and one way is by having extra money set aside for OCD matters and matters to do with mental disorders and illnesses, or limit the time that teachers spend working on this specific OCD problem. Also, we can make sure that the parents and the students are educated on the treatments that the school is offering to them, and make sure that the students know that this treatment is going to make school easier for them. And finally, we can make sure that the teachers are spending equal time for every student when they're struggling, not just for the OCD students.
And here's Aiden to help finish off our...
Everyone can agree on one thing, that all kids deserve a fair and equal education. So school staff should work to identify, accommodate, and treat OCD in children everywhere in the U.S.
With teachers helping identify, accommodate, and treat, children will have less academic and social challenges in school. And the classroom environment will be better, and children will feel safer, and everyone will get an equal education, because children with OCD won't be bothered by their obsessions and compulsions. And here's Yusuf to finish it off.
So stop and look at the bigger picture of the situation. If children with OCD continue to face discrimination, and if they continue to receive a lack of education, then the future of the United States, or perhaps the future of the entire world, will face unequal education among all students, not with just those with mental disorders.
Oh my God, Natalie.
Maxine, in what way did you improve your ability to work with a group as a result of this project?
I improved my ability to work with the group because I was able to trust them and make sure that they'll get their work done. I wasn't the only one who had to get the work done, and they helped me understand that group work isn't an individual person, and you can't always control what other people do.
Aiden, what was the strongest counter-argument to the solution or conclusion your team identified, and why?
The strongest argument that my group identified was to have parental involvement, because as a group we discussed that it could have its perks because kids would feel more comfortable around parents and they would be in a safe environment. But overall we concluded that it wouldn't really work because, as we said in the argument, there would be a lot of negatives to it, like kids would think that it's okay to have these compulsions and obsessions.
Yusuf, how did the group decide to include Maxine's perspective, lens, or conclusions into the overall presentation?
After much collaboration as the group, we decided to include Maxine's perspective as to ask how these symptoms that Aiden presented and how the overall social challenges faced by faced by students is actually morally correct. We wanted to introduce to the viewers of our presentation and ask them the question if this is okay for teachers to ignore the symptoms, and if it's all right for students to face these challenges that will hurt them later in their life.
Brittany, in the future, what change would you make to your group norms, and how would you expect that to improve the team presentation?
What I would change in the future on our group norms is I would make sure that we included more information on our actual argument and that we didn't really have much limitations as we did this time, and make sure that we really made sure that we chose the best one out of all of our counter arguments, or out of all our arguments.
Did I ask you a question? Steven, did I ask you a question?
Yeah.